You are watching No Filter with Debbie. These are my views and opinions. Welcome to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel. And you know what's driving me crazy? The 1.9 trillion, not million, not billion, but $1 trillion COVID relief package. Most of that is fat. Most of it will not be going to you. Think about it. We have between 330 million and 350 million people in America. So if you divide that 1.9 trillion by those people, let's say it's 350 million. You divide 1.9 trillion. You're only getting on average $1,400 out of that. $1,400. So think about it. If you divide that, guess what comes out of it? $6,000 for every man, woman, and child. And the children are not even getting $1,400. And many adults, if you make above a certain level, you're not getting $1,400. So only some Americans are getting $1,400. I would venture to guess that most of the people watching this show are getting $1,400 or will be getting $1,400. But still, there is enough in that 1.9 trillion for every man, woman, and child in America, all 350 million, if we're going to be liberal about the number count. It's really probably more around 330 million and some change, but let's say 350 million. Every man, woman, and child to get $6,000. Only some of them are getting $1,400. None of the children, and many people are not getting that. So where is the other, if my math is correct, $4,600 going? Where is that going? Not to you, not to the American people. It's going to fat. It's going to subsidies for corporations and industries. It's going to spending and waste, bridges to nowhere, roads to nowhere. It is not going back into your paycheck from which it came. It came from your paycheck. And you are only getting $1,400 back. Now, think about this. You have some extra money left over, which many people do not, especially in today's environment, the COVID economy, where a lot of things have been forcibly shut down. People have lost their job. So think about it. You have some extra money, maybe you do, and you want to invest it. And you say to your stockbroker or your investment advisor, if you have one of those, I would like to make some money. And he says, oh, I have the greatest opportunity. You invest $6,000 and then you lose $4,600 of it and you get $1,400 back. And you might even have to pay taxes on the $1,400 depending. And you'll only get the $1,400 back if you make a lot less money than you're making now, or if you don't make what you're making now. Who on earth would take that investment? But that's exactly what the American people have been doing. Your tax money went into this, and you're getting out of the 6,000 on average that you put in, which many people put in a lot more. Some people put in a lot less. You are only getting $1,400 back. The $4,600 is going down the toilet to others, to the fat cats, to the corporations, to subsidizing absurd things to preserve some kind of newt or toad somewhere in some tiny puddle that is now called a wetlands. That's where your money is going. It's going to study if lesbians get fat. Yes, the government put money into stuff like that and continues to put money into stuff like that. That's where your money is going. It's absurd, and that is driving me crazy. You know what's also driving me crazy? So last night on TV is the beginning of the awards season for movies, and in this case, movies and TV shows. Last night was the Golden Globe Awards. Nobody watches this. I had to happen to have it on while I was doing other things, watching other things online. And this is a bore, and it's even more of a bore when you're watching people at home doing Zoom. Who wants to see that? Why do I need to see that? I could do that right on this show. We have people interviewing on this show, far more interesting via Zoom. Who wants to see a bunch of movie stars in their kitchens? I kind of like that it humanizes them and it shows they're not any more special than we are. In fact, they're a whole lot less special. They're wearing ball gowns in a kitchen, they're wearing ball gowns at a desk, they're wearing tuxedos in their living room. Huh? All right, so this, some people weren't dressed up. Jason Sudeikis, I think, was wearing a tie-dyed hoodie. He showed what respect he has for these crappy awards shows. But I'll tell you what really gets me about these awards shows. They get so woke, so social justice warrior oriented, making fun of you and me, those of us in flyover country in middle America. They hate us. It gets old. Come up with something new. But they hate us, and that is the theme of the show. We're backward, and they need to educate us with their ball gowns from their kitchens and their living rooms and their desks. They need to educate us about what's right and what's wrong because they know better than we do about our own lives. But they're hypocrites because you see, last night they honored Norman Lear, who is in his 90s, the famous, legendary Hollywood producer, mostly of TV shows from the 70s and 80s. Most of his shows, I'm sure you've heard of: The Jeffersons, All in the Family, Good Times, Maude, I think he also produced, One Day at a Time. Some of these shows, even though they meant to show conservative people as the bad guy, All in the Family is exhibit A of that, they failed. My late Holocaust survivor grandfather, who was very conservative politically, very conservative in terms of traditional family values. My late father, same thing with him, conservative politically, believed in traditional family values, not this wokeness crap that is destroying America and taking us down to a mediocre level where we will never be number one again. My dad was against that. My grandfather was against that. My grandfather was an immigrant. My dad was the son of immigrants. They came here because this was the greatest country on earth. They don't want to see it torn down. I'm glad they didn't get to see it further torn down. But they loved All in the Family. Why? Because Archie Bunker, even though he was seen as a racist and a bad guy and not so smart, guess what? He was actually the smartest guy there. And guess what? He was the one earning a living for the family, while Meathead, the liberal played by Rob Reiner, who is a liberal meathead in real life, sat there on the couch and criticized him. Archie Bunker, in the end, was the guy that saved the day. He worked hard, he drove his taxi. And maybe he didn't say the most artful things. Maybe he was not the greatest orator or the greatest public speaker. But he was a lovable guy, no matter what Norman Lear tried to do. But the great thing about Norman Lear is this: his shows were politically incorrect. So All in the Family and The Jeffersons both featured racists. Archie Bunker was a white racist. But guess what? Norman Lear he believed in equality. He was an equal opportunity offender. George Jefferson was a white racist. How many times on his show was the H word, honky, a derogatory term for whites, and cracker used? Well, probably cracker not as much as honky, but honky was used a whole hell of a lot, as were a lot of other inartful racial terms you would never hear on TV today. Google the Jeffersons and the N word. They uttered that word left and right on that show. You will find a lot of YouTube videos. Go to YouTube, you'll find them. The thing about the Jeffersons and Archie Bunker was they were politically incorrect shows. They were not woke. They were not social justice warriors. And the themes of those shows, the dialogue in those shows, were lovable to all Americans because they were entertaining. But you will never see that again in America because the things they said could never again be tolerated on television. If they were, today Sherman Hemsley, who played George Jefferson, and Carol O'Connor, who played Archie Bunker, both of them long dead, they would be excommunicated from Hollywood. So would Norman Lear, which is why it's so hypocritical that last night, these woke social justice warriors who know better about our lives than you and me, who want to impose upon us all of the defining of deviancy down that they have been perpetrating on America through entertainment for years, and they just keep pushing the envelope at that. They were honoring Norman Lear when his product was something that would and should appall all of them, but which the rest of us who are normal Americans found just fine. All right, when we come back, Representative Luke Simons, he's under a lot of fire. He's being called to resign. I'll give you my take. And also, on a related note, well, we've got a very entertaining video from Governor Andrew Cuomo. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Back.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your number one choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Back. So before the break, we were talking about how last night's Golden Globes gave an award to Norman Lear, the producer and creator of shows like All in the Family and The Jeffersons. And in case you are under the age of 35 and you don't know those shows, here's a picture of The Jeffersons and Archie Bunker. And there's my tweet saying that it's totally ironic that the woke lives in showbiz. We're honoring Norman Lear last night, and none of those shows or their storylines would be allowed on TV today. So in the middle, if you don't know, is the late Carol O'Connor as the character Archie Bunker, an Irish Catholic New York cab driver, working class guy, and surrounding him are on the left Louise Jefferson and her husband George Jefferson, who was a racist. He was a racist, and he was a very funny racist, and that show was great. And if you're not familiar with those shows, go on YouTube and watch some of those. Go online and look up those episodes. I preferred The Jeffersons, frankly, to All in the Family, but both I think made really good social commentary on society then and frankly now, only you can't watch it on TV now because it wouldn't be allowed. Okay, now, something also that seems to maybe no longer be allowed is Representative Luke Simons. So, Luke Simons, a Republican state representative in the North Dakota legislature, is under fire. There are a lot of calls for him to resign. There are accusations that he sexually harassed multiple female employees and, yes, even elected officials, fellow state representatives in the North Dakota legislature. And this is not primarily Democrats, this is actually primarily his fellow Republican colleagues. Now, one thing my parents always taught me, they never told me this directly, but I saw by example. When conventional wisdom was always going one way, they would change the other way and they would ask probative questions. And that's why when I see basically this hellstorm, this hellfire coming down on Representative Simons, I'm not excusing what he allegedly did. And if even a fraction of this is true, it's certainly inappropriate. And I just don't know what somebody would be thinking saying these things when you're a state representative. Although I could tell you, having worked on Capitol Hill in Washington, this stuff goes on all the time and nobody bats an eyelash. There's no pearl clutching, but still, it is inappropriate. But still, what I don't like is all this stuff came down on him at once, and everybody's asking for him to leave, and you don't hear his side of the story. Now, we have invited him on in the past. He was going to come on to discuss a bill that I thought he was the sponsor of, and he actually was very gracious and said, well, I'm not really the main sponsor of this. You should get Representative so-and-so, who is the sponsor. And instead of stealing the limelight, he gave the spotlight to somebody else. And I thought that was very admirable. He seemed to me like a decent guy at the time. So I've invited him to come on this show. I'd like to give him a chance to give his side of the story. How does he explain these accusations? Now, just because somebody accuses somebody of something doesn't mean it's true, but there are a lot of details in a lot of these accusations, and it just doesn't seem like it's all made up. Maybe some people are embellishing things, who knows? I can tell you this, there's Representative Emily O'Brien, a Republican state legislator to the North Dakota House. Representative Brandy Pyle, also a Republican, both have come out and said that he made comments to and about them. Emily O'Brien said that she had to move her desk because the comments got so bad. Now, some of the comments that she said that he made were he looked her up and down and he said to her that, I bet you were a really good secretary. I bet you're lucky your boss let you come to work, which I don't know what that means. If she's the state representative from an area, her bosses are her constituents, and that's it. She doesn't really have a boss. If he said something like that, and she's a state representative, not a secretary, that's kind of demeaning. Still, I mean, looking at somebody and complimenting how they look, that's different. There's a fine line, but I don't think it's that fine that you know when not to cross over it. Now, he's also accused of giving massages to an employee and just saying a lot of inappropriate things. Other things, though, the reason this all came out was two female Democrat state legislators to the North Dakota House complained. Maybe one was a state legislator and the other was a staffer, but they were both Democrats. They complained that he wasn't wearing a mask. Now, I don't think that's that big of a deal, and they acted like he murdered someone. But then all of this came to light, and you have to wonder, why did this all come to light? Apparently, there's a several page long report, something like 14 pages, and it has lots of instances that several people have complained. Again, if you're out there, if you're listening, Representative Luke Simons, I'm fair. I want to hear your side of the story. I hate when there's a storm coming down on a person and he or she doesn't get to give her point of view or her side of things. That's not to say that what people are saying are not legitimate, but I don't know if they are or they aren't. I just say this. When you have more than one accuser, when there are many accusers, yes, some of them may be making it up or embellishing, but there seems to be some kind of kernel of truth. There are a lot of details, a lot of specifics. We know that the Republican leaders in North Dakota, both the leaders of the Republican Party and the state legislature, are asking for him to step down. Should he step down? Is this right? Is it fair to really try him in the court of public opinion? Has he done anything illegal? There's no allegations of that except maybe giving an employee a massage if he did that. So should he resign? If you have an opinion about this one way or the other, tell us what it is and why on our social media, especially our Facebook page. I always look at the No Filter with Debbie Facebook page. Please check it out and please give us your comments. Should Luke Simons resign? Like I said, a lot of this sounds very inappropriate, but again, it's one side. When the conventional wisdom says one thing, I always question it and look for the other side. And maybe there isn't another side here, but maybe there is. Now, when we come back, on a related note, somebody they're not making as big of a deal about, and I think they have far more goods on him, and it's far more disturbing, and that is Governor Cuomo. And boy, do we have a video to show you. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Beck Communications is hiring. Beck Communications is seeking qualified candidates for plant technicians in our Wheatland, North Dakota location. Beck Communications is an equal opportunity employer. To view the job details, visit www.beck.coop. To apply, email your cover letter and resume to careers@bechtel.coop. Beck Communications, making connections that matter.
If you're a Beck Fiber customer or the dependent of a Beck Fiber customer, you might qualify for scholarships. Beck awards scholarships to seniors headed to college or to students attending University of Mary. Go to www.beck.coop for eligibility guidelines and applications.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Did you know the Foundation for Rural Service awards scholarships for rural students? The scholarships range from $2,500 to $7,000. Go to www.frs.org for information and applications.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, we were talking about Representative Luke Simons. And really, when you listen to some of the comments he made or is accused to have been making, alleged to have been making, they're really very tame when you compare them to the things that are alleged against Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York. And yet people, not that many people in the Democrat Party are asking for him to resign. Whereas the entire Republican Party of North Dakota is asking, Luke Simons to resign. It seems to be a little bit off kilter. Cuomo is alleged to have asked his aide to play strip poker with him. Maybe he should have asked her to play strip twister. Maybe that would have made a difference. But he's alleged, just kidding if anybody thinks I really think that. Just kidding. All right? Some people really, they take seriously my jokes. You would not believe. But he's accused of asking that. He's accused of trying to sleep with one of his aides. There are 2 different aides, at least now, that have made accusations about him. And he's also accused of also giving a massage or trying to. That's the only similarity between these 2 guys. And he's also accused of asking a lot more things, a lot of personal questions, asking if the person was dating anybody. He asked her if she was into dating older men. She's like half his age. This is totally inappropriate. But you know what? People get away with it when they are liberal Democrats in power. Again, look at North Dakota, where pretty much the entire Republican Party of North Dakota is demanding that Luke Simons resign. Whereas the Democrats in New York a few of them have called for him to step down, but not that many. They're very lukewarm about it. Joe Biden won't call for that. They've asked Jen Psaki, and she won't say it. We've shown you some of the videos. She will not say a thing, and that has not changed. So there is this video that now has a whole new meaning, and the reporter in the video now says that Cuomo sexually harassed her. And I think if you look at the video, he did, but she didn't say anything then. And I have a lot of questions about people who don't say anything then and then they say something now. Now, sometimes there are reasons for that. For example, I used to be on Fox News a lot. And then one time, Sean Hannity came to Detroit. I used to be on his show all the time. He came to Detroit, and he repeatedly asked me to go to his hotel with him. And I said no. And guess what? He called me late at night and yelled and screamed at me, said he didn't think he could have me on his show again. I think it was on one more time as a pity appearance or a mercy appearance, and appearance is a euphemism for something else, which was the way he looked at it. And then I was blackballed from Fox News every single time I was ever booked again. His producer would find out about it. His producer became the head of Fox News. I was not allowed on Fox News. I'm still not allowed on. So I never said anything about it until years later when I felt people would believe me and would be ready to hear about it, which was when Bill O'Reilly got canned. But I was wrong. People called me a slut, even though I was not the slut. I said no to him. So I understand why sometimes people don't say something, because it ruins their opportunities and their careers. Still, this was on video. All she had to do was show it. Watch this.
The same way too. Will you eat the whole sandwich?
I will eat the whole sandwich.
Yeah?
Okay. Who made sausage? I can eat the whole sandwich. Food? Like, it wasn't like this 15, 20 years ago. It was when Rick Leslie did it. I think.
That's right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no. I want to see you eat the whole sausage.
I don't know if I should eat the whole sausage in front of you, but I'm definitely going to eat it.
No excuses. You know everyone, you know the county executive?
I do. Now you're going to know me in a whole different level. What I do.
My daughter, Michaela.
Hello. Nice to meet you. I think we're going to be here a while.
Yeah.
We might be here a while. Now there's a lot of pressure on me to eat this.
Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yeah.
Going to be on this side, huh?
Wait. Can I take a selfie with you while I eat my sandwich?
There you go.
I think that's a fair trade.
Yeah, there's too much sausage in that picture.
You came to the inside the cage.
That's right.
Said you
would have thought my golden ticket. It's not as easy to eat this in front of all these cameras as you make it seem.
Well, that's right. That's your Not only do you have to eat the sausage, but you have to...
That's part of the being the governor, right? Learning how
Well, there is a course when you get elected to office. They have a course called Eating on Camera, and then Eating on Camera while talking to colleagues.
Don't do it.
I haven't passed that course yet.
That's exactly right.
I need to make sure that I don't get it on you.
You gotta eat the whole sausage. Eat the whole sausage. Yeah, we know what he meant. That whole video was all about sexual innuendo, and I'm sure you're sure, that when he's not on video, it's a whole lot worse. All right, and he clearly has a type. All of these women look like that TV reporter. They're all brunettes with long brown hair. They all look like his daughters. There's something really weird and sick about that. And not only that, but, I mean, both his accusers, they have that look. He's got a type. But not only that, did you notice how he got that little sycophant of his, that guy that worked for him and brought the hot dog to that TV reporter? Did you notice how he signaled to him to come over? He's really not a very polite, very genteel person. He's really got no manners. He's kind of a lowlife. And you could see that the way he got his sycophant to come over and the way he sent her this hot dog and was joking about the sausage. I mean, you're a governor of a major state in the country. And can you believe that people were talking about this guy as our next president? They wanted him to enter the race so that Joe Biden would not be the nominee. Do you remember that? This guy would have been our president, telling people to eat the whole sausage from the Oval Office. This would be like Monica Lewinsky and her cigars on steroids. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I mean, watch that video again. This was on camera for a TV reporter. Imagine what he does off camera when nobody's watching, or he thinks nobody's watching. So there's that. Now, speaking of president and running for president, Donald Trump, will he run again? So this weekend was CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. I've never gone to these things. I just think it's for nerds. It's not for me. It's very cliquish. They decide who gets to speak based on certain things. You have to be pro-illegal alien immigration. You have to be a certain kind of person. You have to be basically the establishment conservative. And that's not me. I've never gone to these things. And guess what? My life is still going to be complete. So yesterday, President Trump spoke at CPAC. And there was also a straw poll of all the candidates for the year 2024. And we will talk about it after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Howdy folks, it's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a comb roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So over the weekend, as we were saying before the break, it was the Conservative Political Action Conference yesterday. President Trump spoke there. He said that he's not going to start a new political party. He said that before because he knew that that will only split the GOP and basically assure that the Democrats will win everything forever and the Republicans will be irrelevant. So he's smart to not do that. If he did, he would go down in history as the man who forever cost Republicans any chance of winning anything back again. Now, they did a straw poll, and the straw poll showed him winning, but not by that much. I mean, he had only 55% of the vote. Now, I don't put any stock in these polls. As you can see, Ron DeSantis, who I think is fabulous, he's wonderful. He got 21%. Kristi Noem, another person I'm a big fan of. But then there's Nikki Haley, who you don't know where she stands. She's a shape-shifting, chameleonic presence who will say whatever she thinks is the current trend. She is not to be trusted. But Kristi Noem has stuck to her guns about no lockdowns, no mask mandates. She's great. She believes in freedom. Same with Ron DeSantis. He had a very limited lockdown at the very beginning, which, by the way, are you enjoying that 15 or 20 days that we said we were going to lock down to flatten the curve? So I think we're now almost 365 days into that 15 days, right? But anyway, Donald Trump got 55%. Is that really impressive for a guy that's supposed to be the titular head of the Republican Party, and very impressive? Now, I'll tell you what happens at these events. The straw polls, people buy votes. It's not really reliable. Also, these are the activists of the activists. But if even the activists of the activists only gave Donald Trump 55%, that's a bad omen. Now, I've said on this show before, I do not believe Donald Trump will run again. By that time, he'll be the same age as Joe Biden. And even though right now he has the energy of a 38-year-old, and maybe even a 28-year-old, not a 78-year-old, and I think he's only 74, he may not have that in 4 years. And I just don't think he's going to run again. He does not want this. What does he need it for? And he's got all these legal battles he has to fight right now and concentrate on, which is part of why they're throwing those at him to keep him from running again. Is he going to be behind bars as some of these liberals are predicting? I doubt it, but we'll see. They rig a lot of things, and the justice system they rig as well. I mean, the Justice Department is looking into him again, and you can bet the Justice Department is no longer looking into Hunter Biden. So that was the straw poll. Now, one of the things that he said when he was at CPAC was that he did order or asked for 10,000 troops or police to go to the Capitol because he knew the numbers would be big. He didn't know there was going to be this violence, but he knew the numbers would be big because he knew a lot of people were coming to his rally on the other side, closer to the White House, and he felt that a lot of those people would go to the Capitol. He said that Nancy Pelosi said no because she did not like the optics. It would look bad. Now, that does jibe with a lot of the stories we heard from people that have no partisanship with Donald Trump. For example, Stephen Sund, the now ex-chief of the Capitol Hill Police. He said that he saw what was coming. He saw the threats. He asked for police. He asked for National Guard. But he was told by the Pentagon it was a bad look. He was told by the now ex-Sergeant at Arms of both the House and the Senate that it was a bad look. And you know who the Sergeant at Arms of the House reports to? Yep, Nancy Pelosi. He reports to her also. So this kind of does jibe. I would believe that the president maybe did want those troops. I don't know. We won't know until and unless we see some verification. And the Democrats convened this phony 1-6 commission to look into the January 6th riots. They say it's going to be like a 9/11 commission. We'll see. We'll see what kind of proof they have, what kind of documentation. As I have said, they've already had a bite at the apple with this, with a second failed impeachment trial against the president, President Trump. So why is this continuing to go on? I don't know, but that's the President Trump's response. Now, one of the reasons I believe that President Trump lost was not just because of COVID, not just because of some of his behavior and statements personally. I do believe he lost because of mail-in voting and a lot of the relaxation of restrictions on signatures and signature matching and so on. That was a huge boon for fraud and for liberal Democrats to get their people to vote and their dead people to vote. I mean, that's one of their biggest constituencies. Now, we don't know if it's a lie that there was enough voter fraud to steal the election. We don't know. For the media to say it's a lie and it's already been determined, we don't know. It's really never been heard. As we showed you on video, I think like a month ago, or at least a couple of weeks ago, Rand Paul pointed this out, and he was absolutely right. And we've discussed this on this show even before him, that the Supreme Court rejected hearing these cases because they said that there was no standing. A lot of these courts also similarly rejected this on procedural technicalities, not based on whether or not there was fraud. So we'll never really know. And as I've said, once the ballots leave the envelopes, unless you want America to give up the right to a private/secret ballot, you're never going to be able to trace fraudulent ballots. You just aren't. Unless there are barcodes that are traceable to the individual voters, you're never going to be able to stop this. The only way you can stop this is with stricter laws. And guess what? Georgia is now ahead of the 2022 Senate elections and House elections. Georgia is now proposing stricter laws. There's going to be a smaller window of days to vote, and they are going to require signature verification and IDs, which why can't we have that? You know who's requiring IDs? Amazon. Amazon, in attempts to unionize Amazon, Jeff Bezos' Washington Post was against voter ID laws. He's against verifying voters when it's the general election and it concerns Republicans winning. But when it concerns him stopping unions, they were requiring voter ID. They wanted people to show ID or they couldn't vote. And guess what? You have to vote in person. No voting by mail. That's what he insisted on. He's a hypocrite, a complete hypocrite. Georgians are not. So the state legislature met, and the House voted to require these things, which we always used to require throughout recent American history when voter fraud became rife. So I want to show you this video. This is a bunch of leftists, and this is how they behave because they don't like what the Georgia House passed.
Attention. I am Sergeant One with the Georgia State Patrol. You are in violation of 1611 34.1.
Go. Go. Step aside, ma'am. Step aside. Now.
Disperse immediately or you will be arrested.
So you saw she's blocking the police. They're not listening to the police. They want the House not to meet, not to vote. They want it adjourned because they can't handle democracy. These are the people who preach about democracy and Donald Trump is a threat to it and he wants to stop it and stop the vote. No, they're the ones who want to stop the vote. They're frauds, they're hypocrites. And I'll bet you every single one of those people is probably carrying a driver's license. They probably all drove there. So they're hypocrites and they're frauds. Now, when we come back, I want to show you video of a guy named Klaus Schwab. Now, who is Klaus Schwab? Is he a Bond villain? Well, we'll show you that and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Coulter Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
You may have heard, by the way, welcome back to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Beck. You may have heard of the World Economic Forum. It is an organization of leftists, of the socially woke around the world. They have, unfortunately, an undue, enormous influence on world leaders, including American leaders, even American Republican leaders. Donald Trump didn't listen to them, but don't make no mistake, Donald Trump wanted to be liked by this kind of crowd also. He just didn't bow to them, to his credit. Unfortunately, everybody else bows to the World Economic Forum. And what is it? It is an unelected body that was created by a very rich guy by the name of Klaus Schwab. Now, I want you to watch this video of Klaus Schwab in which he says things won't get back to normal. He almost seems like he's deciding for us. Watch this.
So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen. The cut which we have now is much too strong in order not to leave traces.
The cut we have is much too strong in order not to leave traces. All right, who does this guy remind you of? I'll tell you who he reminds me of. A Bond villain, particularly Blofeld. Ernst Blofeld. Look at this. Look, all right, doesn't he remind you of that? Ernst Stavro Blofeld, that's the late, by the way, Donald Pleasance. Great actor. The character was also at one time, I think, played by Telly Savalas, a.k.a. Kojak. But when I watch this Klaus Schwab cheering on, the cut is too deep not to leave traces, I hear him saying, "You will die, Mr. Bond. It is time for you to die." He's also saying that to us. It is time for you to die, the West, America. You cannot go back to normal. It is time for you to be killed. He wants to decide our fate. Enough. We don't need these unelected, unimportant people who think they're important, who've been made important by these liberal elites that have nothing to do with us. They weren't on my ballot. Why does he get to decide if we're going to go back to normal or not? He's not an American. He's, I believe, a German or an Austrian. Why does he get to decide? And the World Economic Forum, not only was he basically giddy about we're not going to return to normal, in his opinion, but I want you to see this video that they put up. Well, first, look at this tweet that they announced they're withdrawing a video. So they said, we're deleting this tweet. Lockdowns aren't quietly improving, cities around the world, but they are an important part of public health response to COVID-19. Now, the reason why they had to withdraw a video they put out is they cheered lockdowns. They said lockdowns were good. Watch this crazy, environmentally nutty video. Look at this. So you saw that video. How disgusting is that? They want the lockdown to continue because it's better for the environment. There isn't travel. There isn't pollution. It's quiet. Well, sure it is, because we shut down the world. We took people away from their jobs. We took away their way to make a living. We took away kids from learning. We took away kids from sports. We took away businesses from people forever that they had built all their lives. And this guy, this Blofeld lookalike, he wants that to continue for you, but not for him. Because guess what? He traveled. He traveled to the location to make that video. He's an international traveler. He's got a private jet. He's a billionaire. but rules for thee, not for me. That's how he thinks. And that is just disgusting. And people were outraged. So that's why he removed that video. But that was his true feelings. That's what the World Economic Forum believes. That's what they're about. That, oh, you little people, let them eat cake. You should eat cake because we're going to shut you down. We think that's a good thing. And also, the cut is too deep. You cannot go back to normal. I mean, it's just ridiculous. All right. And speaking of the same kind of ethos, I want to tell you about this guy, Matt Meyer. So, Matt Meyer is the president of the Berkeley Federation of Teachers. That's right, Berkeley, California. You know, the granola state, fruits, nuts, and flakes. And a lot of those flakes are in Berkeley. So we showed you the other day the Berkeley woman professor that wanted women to walk on those stilt platform shoes to avoid height advantages, height privilege of men. Well, there's Matt Meyer. So Matt Meyer was against kids learning in school. He did not want kids to return. He said that he wanted the gold standard for teachers, that kids, that Berkeley schools should only reopen in person for learning when educators are all vaccinated, among other criteria. He had a whole list of demands. Well, guess what? He was spotted the other day driving his kids to in-person learning at a very fancy private school in suburban Berkeley. Again, it's rules for thee, but not for me. These liberal elites, they have a separate set of standards. They don't care if your kids learn in person. They don't care if your kids are left behind. They only care about their precious little jewels, their children, because they don't care about you. Teachers' unions do not care about your children. Remember, things are not always as they seem. See you tomorrow.